Hello, my dearest friends. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I managed to finish in the month of January, the first month of the year. I'm going to share with you which book started off my year. I'm going to share with you how my month went. I did have fewer books than usual for what I would usually finish in January. I think last year I read like 20 books or something, but this year I slowed down my reading. I'm happy about it. I read about 12 books, and it was a bit of an up and down month when it comes to the ratings. So I did have a couple of 5-star reads, which I'm very happy about. I read a book that was on my TBR for a very long time, so I'm really happy that I crossed that book off and I really enjoyed it. And I also had an arc that I finished and a couple of books that I had wanted to like more, but I didn't. So I'm just going to go into all of them. I'm going to let you know what my ratings were, what my thoughts were. I started off my year with finishing King of Wrath by Anna Huang. I had this book on my TBR for such a long time, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I'm putting off Anna Huang's books. I don't know why I put them off, honestly, because I enjoy all of them. So it's maybe the fact that I don't have the audiobooks for them, so I need to read them through Kindle Unlimited, and I just don't have the physical time to read a lot on my Kindle, but I'm just going to get on with finishing these damn books because they're so good. King of Wrath is a marriage of convenience story between Dante and Vivian, and it's kind of an arranged marriage situation where Vivian's parents, specifically her father, has made a deal with Dante to have them get married. Her father wants to do that because he wants to up his social standing, while Dante is basically getting blackmailed, so he doesn't really want to get married to Vivian. So they start off on not the best footing, but both of them are very much aware that they need to do whatever they need to do for specific reasons. Now, Vivian doesn't know about the blackmail, so to be fair, she's getting into the whole marriage because she is kind of a people pleaser when it comes to her family. She doesn't want to say no to her father, even though there are certain things that she kind of does to rebel against her family. She definitely doesn't want to disappoint them because she feels indebted to them for everything that they've had to sacrifice for her to get into a certain position in society. So she essentially agrees to this marriage of convenience situation. She has to move into Dante's apartment. He is the kind of guy who kind of he's a billionaire, obviously, and he is kind of has ties everywhere. He has legit businesses, but also kind of maybe mafia ties, or not really mafia ties, but like ties to people who can do things illegally. Let me put it like that. He is kind of friends with Christian from Twisted Lies, the previous series by Anna Huang. He hires Christian for a couple of things here and there. So there's a lot going on in this book. They have this forced proximity because she moves into his mansion, and there are certain situations just before she moves that are just chef's kiss, so well done. The confrontation between herself and Dante, there is this kind of, I think, art gallery viewing or something in his house, and she gets there to kind of put him in his place. That scene is just chef's kiss. I really, really loved it. So overall, I just really, really enjoyed this one, and I think it will only get better within the series because we're seeing different characters introduced, like Kai, who is kind of Dante's best friend, maybe, who is getting the second book, and Isabella, who is Vivian's best friend. They're going to have a book which is going to be King of Pride, so the next book, and I need to get on this one. And we are also seeing a glimpse of the couple who is going to have a marriage in crisis situation in King of Greed. I have the physical copy somewhere here, so I'm really intrigued to continue on with the series. And King of Wrath for me is a 4-star read. I really, really highly enjoyed it, and I think if the series continues in the way that I feel like it will continue, I'll have a couple of 5-star reads there. The next book I read is Unwrap Me by Summer O'Toole. I don't know why I'm picking up holiday themed books after Christmas, but I apparently am. I just saw this popping up as like a new release through audio, and I was like, okay, sign me up. Let me just try it out because I've never read anything by Summer O'Toole, so I just wanted to give it a shot. This was a shorter kind of an audiobook, almost like novella length. I'm not sure how many pages. Let me just check on Goodreads how many pages there are to this story, but it felt like a shorter book to me. And it's 269 pages. So, not really. Is it a novella? Maybe a little bit. We've got a situation of our heroine working for this kind of event planning company, and she's planned this big event, and she has a relationship with her boss essentially, and she finds out on the same day that she is both getting laid off and also finds out that her boyfriend, she thinks he's her boyfriend, that he's actually married. So it's a horrible day for her. At the start of the book, she feels absolutely crushed because she thought that she did an amazing job with the projects that she was running, and then she finds out that she's going to get laid off. So it's really an uncertain time for her. And at the same time, the person that she thought was someone special to her is someone who is unavailable to her. So she's kind of devastated. At the same time, we're finding out that the hero, he was in a relationship with someone with whom at least she expected more from him, and he didn't want to give more of himself. So that relationship ended at the start of the book, and they encounter each other during this event that is going on. So we've got very much an insta lust situation where they're both in a bit of a bad place and they want to have this hookup. And I think like the hookup starts with her saying, there's just one condition, no names or no phone numbers. It's just a hookup, right? And I think there is an age gap. I wrote it down somewhere here. He's 47, she's 30. So there is an age gap, and both of them want to be child free. So there is rep for that. And there is also some BDSM when it comes to the kinky part of the story. So it was an overall okay read. It was a quick audiobook for me to enjoy, quite spicy, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a very, very memorable one for me. I think if you are looking for a holiday themed book after the holidays, like I was apparently, then you may enjoy this one, or you may want to put it on your TBR for whenever the holiday season starts again this year. And then I picked up one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It's In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. I highly, highly enjoyed the previous book within this series, which was last year's release, Beg, Borrow, or Steal. I gave that one 5 stars, so I was very much looking forward to this release that just came out at the start of the month. This book centers on our heroine, Madison. She is kind of the person within her family who went for it. She went to New York to get into culinary school, and she is kind of hiding a secret from everybody that she's unsure whether that should be her career. She was in culinary school, but her self-esteem with that specific career got completely trashed when she started to intern at a restaurant, and the chef just completely broke down her self-esteem. So she's kind of unsure whether she's made for that world. And there is a secret component within that part of her journey that I don't want to spoil because it's better if you read it on your own. And then what happens is she graduates from this culinary school and she doesn't really know what she wants to do with herself. And she has this conversation with her brother's best friend. And her brother's best friend always had a thing for her. She always had a thing for him, but they didn't know of each other's crushes, right? So they have this conversation where he mentions he's planning on opening a restaurant at his farm in their small town where she's from. And he would very much like for her to move back so that she can run this restaurant. The caveat here is that he never planned to open the restaurant. So essentially, he's doing it for her, which is just simply the most romantic thing ever, right? And at the same time, he's kind of financially struggling. So he actually needs desperately for this restaurant thing to work so that he can save his businesses. So there's this whole situation of them having feelings for each other already at the start, but keeping it a secret. And then she deals with panic attacks because of what happened with her culinary school situation. He helps her out with that, and he's opening this restaurant for her, and they have this whole family situation within the small town that we're all familiar with through the previous books within that series. And there's just so much goodness to the story. I'm an absolute sucker for foodie romances. So whenever there is any kind of foodie aspects or restaurant or any kind of like farmers market situation, picnics, anything that has to do with food, I'm a sucker for. So I really, really enjoyed that part within the book. And I was just giddy. I was giddy to get into the small town romance. I highly, highly recommend it. If you've read any of the books within this series, I'm sure you're going to love this one as well. I give this one 5 stars. The next book that I read, unfortunately, was a bit of a letdown for me. It's the second book within the Love in Galway series by Ivy Fairbanks. The first book was Morbidly Yours, and I really highly enjoyed that one last year. And I read book 2, which is called Heartstrings. It's the heroine from the first book, her cousin or best friend, and then she already had like a fling going on with the guy from her book, right? His name is Aiden. In book 1. So they met each other and they had these sparks flying, and we saw that they were hooking up, but we didn't know what the story was. So here we're getting their story, and actually turns out that it becomes a second chance romance situation. We've got a heroine who is she's from the States, and she moves to Ireland to pursue this doctor's internship kind of career situation. And the hero is this up and coming star within the pop circle. So he is a singer. And when she moved to Ireland, they immediately became a couple, an item, and they had this amazing relationship going on. But when he kind of shot into stardom, their relationship broke off. The premise is good, but I had some issues with the grudge that the heroine was keeping against the hero, and just certain parts within the story felt like we're getting not too much romance or not too much of the positive vibe within a romantic story, and too much of the heaviness of whatever is plaguing the heroine's past, her decisions, her motivations, and it kind of overshadows the romantic part of the book. At least that it felt like that for me. So I kind of wanted to love this one, but didn't. And yeah, I gave this one 3 stars because I still enjoy the humorous parts within Ivy Fairbanks' writing, and the story was good. It wasn't a bad story, but I just didn't feel the same connection, and I didn't kind of root for the hero and heroine in the same way that I did for the couple in book 1. So this one was a 3-star read for me. So there's always going to be a part within the year when I'm going to pick up a book that I didn't properly research, and I find out that it's a book within a series that I have not yet read, and it's like book 2 or 3 or 4 within a series. And this is the case for the next book. It was a new release within the Storytel library. So I was like, okay, new release, Natasha Madison sounds good to me. I'm just going to pick it up. And I didn't see that it's part of a series. And this is book 2 within the specific series. The book is called Only for Love. And when you start to read this book, you immediately notice that certain things have happened in book 1 that you're not kind of familiar with, because obviously you haven't read the book. So this is kind of a my fault kind of a thing. I think if I had read book 1, that I probably will have probably enjoyed this one more. So in this book, we've got a hockey romance where the hockey is maybe not the most prominent thing within the book. But anyway, so she's married to a narcissist. He is this surgeon at this hospital and he's gaslighting her like hell. And she has this horrible relationship with this guy, but she has completely kind of signed away her individual life to this relationship. And she meets the hero through this charity that she's running on behalf of actually her husband. And he's immediately obsessed with her. He's immediately smitten with her, but he knows that she's married. So he doesn't make a move at that time. But he does have this kind of a connection with her, this talk and kind of not friendship, but this rapport with her. And something happens that is kind of the last drop for the heroine, where she's like, I cannot stay with my husband anymore. And he kind of helps her in a specific situation at this charity gala that is going on to see that she really needs to make a move and get out of there. So she decides to file for a divorce and she moves in with her sister and her sister's husband, who have children. She moves away essentially, and she starts to build her life back up. And turns out that her sister's husband is our hero's teammate, so his hockey teammate, and they start to have this connection anew once she's starting to build her life back up, essentially. And we've got a situation where the hero is completely obsessed with the heroine, a heroine who just needs to heal from all this trauma that she's gone through. And I found that part of the story where she is tackling a situation with a very narcissistic partner, it's done really, really well. And the whole thing where she's having the supportive partner through this whole situation is endearing. But there were things within this book that I just couldn't get on board with. Like the spice was kind of cringy, and there were certain situations where I was like, this is too convenient. Like the hero being in certain positions to just help this heroine out and kind of takes away his whole, not agency, but I don't know how to say it. It's like his personality is written off of the page, and her personality is what drives the story. And that kind of becomes annoying to me, because I've had a couple of stories in the past couple of months where this has been happening, and I'm like, I don't want to read a story where only one of the characters is being represented. I kind of want to see both sides of the story. I want to see both of their lives so that I can connect the dots to see why they're so compatible for each other. So I don't know, just this one didn't work for me the way that I had hoped it would work for me, because I was looking forward to reading a hockey romance that I'm going to fall in love with. But this one was just all right. I gave it 3 stars. And if you're going to pick it up, maybe read book 1 first, because you may enjoy this one more than I did. And next up, I read a new release. It's a romantasy or kind of paranormal new release called We Who Will Die by Stasia Stark. It just released at the end of 2025. And this one was all right. I had fun with it. It was fast-paced and I did enjoy the story. I read the audiobook for it. It's duet narration, which I very much appreciate with audiobooks. It's a story of our heroine, Arvel, who they live in this, is it Kingdom Realm? I don't know what it is, but they live in this territory where there are these tournaments going on. She was selected to participate in this tournament and she won it. But the price for having won it is that she lost her best friend during this tournament. She did win a big prize, but her uncle stole her prize winnings and departed. So she essentially was left with nothing after having won this tournament. And she is taking care of her brothers. And one of her brothers has this respiratory kind of a ailment situation she needs to take care of. And she gets presented with this deal by a vampire to enter the tournament again. And if she does what he says and kills the emperor, of this realm, then he's going to heal her brother. So she doesn't have a lot of choices here. She is barely making ends meet, and there's essentially this deal that she cannot say no to. So she gets into this bond with this vampire and enters this tournament again. There are certain caveats within the whole situation that gets revealed later on in the book that I did enjoy. And her romance is with the emperor's son. So there's a lot of things going on, and it's action filled and it's fast paced, and I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 to 4 stars. I will probably continue on with the series. Next up, I read and enjoyed the illustrated book by Charlie Mackesy called Always Remember. It's the second book that follows up The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. This is a children's book that can also be read by adults as a kind of a self-help book, because it features these positive affirmations and these self-help kind of motivational sentences and kind of story to the background of this one. And it's been illustrated as well as written by Charlie Mackesy. And I really love The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. This one is very, very similar to the first one, but is a tad bit different. I still really highly enjoyed it. I mean, if you have this book in your home, whenever you open up a page, you can just get something positive out of it. Very similar to The Little Prince. And I don't know, I think everyone needs positivity in their life. So I really, really highly enjoyed this one. Especially also the illustrations are very beautiful for this one. So I would definitely recommend it. It's a 5-star read for me. Next up, I read a new release by Letizia Lorini. It's a romantic suspense book called A Killer Kind of Romance. It's a story of a heroine who is running this true crime podcast together with her family's friend. And the podcast is not doing the best. So her boss is like, you maybe need to also do a romance podcast because that one is kind of performing better. And she's completely against like romance. So she doesn't want to do it, but she kind of doesn't have a choice. And at the same time, her neighbor dies and her neighbor's son gets back into town for the funeral and arrangements and everything, and he's our hero. But at the same time, because he's just moved into town, his timing of getting back into town is kind of suspect because certain things start happening in their town. People start getting killed off. So there is this serial killer kind of going rampant within their town. And the interesting part within this story is that the serial killer is killing people off in the same way that they're described in certain kind of books that our heroine is covering on her podcast. So whenever she discusses a true crime book within her podcast, the same book, so the murder within that book gets reenacted by the serial killer. So everyone is kind of suspicious of what is going on, like who done it and why is it her podcast that is getting all this right, you know? And she desperately also wants to find out what the heck is going on. And we're following through the detective kind of a situation of all of them trying to figure out what is going on. At the same time, she has always had a thing for our hero. He's just gotten back into town. He's showing interest in her, but she doesn't know whether it's genuine interest or whether something else is going on. So it's a bit more leaning towards the suspense part than the romance part. And I found that the book was a little bit too long for my liking. Like we started to get so many twists and turns that I was like, we could have done without a couple of those to get to the main point of the story of whodunit. But I did enjoy it. I gave this one 3.5 stars. And I have to say, if I read the physical book, I probably would have given it less. I think the audiobook did contribute to my enjoyment of the book. So I don't know. If you like romantic suspense books, you may enjoy this one. I did predict who done it. I don't typically do that, but for this one, I did predict it. But it was an enjoyable read. It was an all right read. The next book I picked up is a small town, kind of a cowboy romance called Broken Beginnings by Cleo Evans. I read the audiobook for this one as well. It's a dual narration audiobook, and I unfortunately didn't enjoy this one. I have to say that I don't know what it is. I think most of the time, whenever a couple gets together too quick within a book, it just doesn't work for me. Whenever there is like insta lust, insta love, there needs to be some kind of a very good spark, or I don't know, there needs to be some kind of a component that makes it believable for me. Within this book, it was just missing. We've got a situation of the hero and heroine at the start of the book being teenagers, and he's her bully, and he bullies her pretty hard. And she is kind of done with him and she moves away. And 12 years later is the present part, where we figured out that she is this travel in, not really influencer, but more so like a blogger, vlogger, kind of a profession. And she hasn't been back to the small town because she has just very negative feelings towards it, specifically because of him. And he, in the meantime, he's from this prominent family within the small town, but he has made his own business venture within the small town. So he's very kind of a prominent figure there. She gets back into the small town because she has witnessed the murder, and she's kind of psychologically not dealing very well with it. So she needs some rest from whatever she has been doing. And when he finds out that she's back in the small town, he is so remorseful about how he treated her when they were teenagers. He definitely wants to prove that he has changed, that he is remorseful. He wants to apologize for his behavior, and he kind of has a thing for her. Obviously, that's why he bullied her in the first place. So their situation with the bullying kind of gets resolved already in the 30% mark. Like, she forgives him really, really fast for what has happened. And then we get into the romantic suspense part of who murdered the person that she saw getting murdered, and it's tied to her somehow. And again, there is this romantic suspense plot line that runs through the book. And it just kind of went downhill for me from that perspective. The romantic suspense part I just didn't enjoy very much, and then their relationship being already resolved within the 30% mark, and then just getting spy scenes between them is just not my cup of tea. So I give this one 2.5 stars. I didn't really enjoy it, to be quite honest, so I also wouldn't recommend it. The next book that I read is a hockey romance that I did enjoy. It's called Hockey Boy by Brittany Nicole. This one I read as an audiobook through Storytel, and is a duet narration audiobook, and I very much appreciated that. You already know that I love duet narration audiobooks. This one features a hero who is a hockey player, and he's dealing with depression, with panic attacks. And he, at the start of the book, is set to get married to a woman he doesn't love. He's like, it's the next step. We've been together for a while, so we just need to get married, even though he doesn't love her. And she is his childhood love. They used to be in a relationship when they were teenagers and college people, but then she broke it off for certain reasons, and now she's back into town and she works for this wedding planning company, and she's going to be his wedding planner while he's getting married to someone else. And the moment that he lays eyes on her, when they have this meeting about the wedding plans, he's like, I'm not going through with this marriage. I need to win her back somehow. So we've got an obsessed hero, someone who is willing to go all the ways to win her back. And we've got a heroine who had her reasons for breaking the relationship off in the first place, but then is kind of, she can't help but fall back in love with him, right? Or at least she always loved him, but she kind of can't resist to get back with him. And the whole wedding plot is done semi-relatably well of how he got out of it, of not getting married to the other person. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed the fact that it had this depression and anxiety rep and like the panic attacks. and how she's helping him through it, and the whole found family aspect of the hockey team helping out with him getting her back is really nice as well. And I don't know, I just had fun with this one. I gave it 4 stars. All right, so the next book that I read, I didn't enjoy very much as well, and I'm sorry to say, because I really enjoyed the first book that I read by this author, Julia Wolf. I read last year, In the Details. I really, really enjoyed that one, but this one just didn't work for me. It's called Faded in Bloom by Julia Wolf, and it's a rock star romance where the hero is this rock star and he lives next to his music company's boss's daughter. And they're neighbors and they become friends first. They become best friends, actually. But she's kind of pining for him. She feels a connection to him, and he kind of ignores all the signs that they have this kind of chemistry going on because he desperately wants to remain friends with her. But at the same time, she's just longing and pining for him. And this is maybe the part within the story that feels so difficult for me as a reader to enjoy, because whenever we have a woman pining for the man and yearning for the man, if the man is not yearning back, or if he is kind of aloof and completely disregards her feelings, it feels like an asshole move to me as a reader. I know that it happens in real life, and I don't know, it can be kind of relatable and realistic, but for me it just feels not the best as a reader. I just want to have the guy appreciate the woman more. In this book, the hero just felt like an asshole to me. I really didn't like him. So I'm not sure if I did this book justice when it comes to the synopsis of it, but essentially, they have this amazing friendship going on. They don't want to ruin it. The heroine is definitely feeling the feelings and he is ignoring the feelings, and they clash because of that. And it just becomes painful for me to read that the woman, she kind of stood up for herself at a certain part within the book, which I very much liked, but just the hero didn't redeem himself for me, so I gave this one 2 stars. The last book I'm going to talk about is the arc that I received. It's the second book within the Billionaire Games series by Olivia Hale. It just released on February 1st, and I was fortunate enough to get the e-arc for it, and I very, very much enjoyed that one. So The Faking Game was the first book that released last year, and I gave that one 5 stars, and I gave The Marriage Bet, which is the second book, also 5 stars. I very, very much enjoyed it. The book is a marriage of convenience situation with an enemies to lovers vibe, and already the start of it is just such a catchy kind of a way to start a book. We've got the heroine sending an email out to our hero. He's a billionaire, and she sends him an email saying, you know, you've been after our company for such a long time, and I think it's going to be in our mutual benefit if we get married. So she proposes marriage to him via email to kind of start off this business relationship with him, and he agrees. So we've got a marriage of convenience situation going on, enemies to lovers, because he's been after her company for a very long time for certain reasons. And we've got a setting in Italy in the summer. So he has this Lake Como villa, and they reside there throughout the story, but they also go to other places. So they go to Milan, they go to Switzerland, they go to was it Monaco or somewhere on the French Riviera? I don't remember anymore, but they just kind of jet set. And because he's a billionaire, he can afford it, and he is splurging on her as well, which I very much loved. And there are certain scenes that are just to die for. There are funny scenes, but there are also endearing scenes. There's caretaking within this book, and there's a lot of banter, top tier banter. She plays tennis and he plays tennis as well. So they have this rivalry going on as well. And I just ate up every single moment within this book. I really love these characters. I love the setup for the stories of the next books that we're going to get. So the next book is going to be James's story, who is part of Rafe's, so this hero's friend group. And there's just so much goodness to this book. Again, it's a 5-star read for me. It's already out, and I'm not sure when the audiobook is going to come out, because for the Faking Game, it took a couple of months for the audiobook to release, but the book is already out, and I'm not sure if it's in Kindle Unlimited. I need to research that. But Olivia Hill just outdid herself with this one. I would definitely recommend it. All right, my dearest friends, these were all the books that I finished in the month of January. Please let me know what you read, what you enjoyed, what was your favorite read of the month. If I have to pick one book that I absolutely adored within the month of January, it's going to be The Marriage Bed by Olivia Hill. And I'm very much looking forward to February's reads. What kind of romantic books am I going to choose for the month of love? I'm going to be letting you know at the end of the month. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care and bye-bye.